I'll move away. Somebody just has to jack him. He's got his hands up. Quickly just jump in there, grab him, grab his hands, don't let him put it in drive.
Hello and welcome back. Today's case airs on the grim side of police interactions, as it's the rare but unfortunate reality that lives are sometimes lost in the performance of police duties. Whether or not the loss could have been prevented is what's truly up for debate, and many viewers are divided on whether the circumstances of this attempted arrest in Washington, D.C. could have been avoided. March 18th, 2023, 9 a.m. Officers of both the United States Park Police and the Metropolitan Police Department are gathered around a parked Hyundai Tucson in River Terrace Park that's suspected of being stolen. The suspect, 17-year-old Delano Martin, is asleep in the front seat of the vehicle, and officers are brainstorming the best way to extract him.
See, this door is open.
Okay.
If it is, I'm gonna pull it open. I'm gonna grab him.
It's just one guy, right?
Yep. One guy.
It's locked. It's locked. And once he sees us,
How bad do you think it'll be if you park him in?
he's gonna get started. He's gonna get started.
Alright. 3-1.
Now, if you get the crane will lift up that front. So,
Do me a favor. The vehicle does have some indications that it is stolen. The ignition's punched. Do you have a crane available? Yeah. We're going to be right here on in front of. But that's going to be for a white and color Hyundai Tucson. Very good DC flag that I gave you.
This other jurisdiction can do a lot more than we can.
I mean, we'll wake him up. I have a feeling he's just going to cut it to the left. Try to take that alley.
well, I can be there so he can take that alley.
One of the windows is taped open.
Yeah, that's the Hyundai break the back window.
No. Are we unable to unlock the door that way? But then the problem is, that's a back window. Now you're in the back of the car.
Yeah.
The officers would have no way of knowing just how momentous an issue this would soon be. If they'd stopped here and concocted a different plan, or just waited on the crane, they might have circumvented the devastating circumstances that would occur. But unfortunately, though they acknowledged how bad the situation could get, they didn't truly anticipate just how bad it really would get.
But can you reach through and unlock the door?
Even then, that's all determined on if he stays asleep while we're doing all that.
Did you guys run the tag?
Yeah. So tags
Reported.
it's not reported stolen yet. I think the owner just didn't want it.
Say what? Trying to get the VIN?
I'll do that.
Is the VIN not coming back on the tag?
Did the return come back?
Yeah.
The officers advised that while the vehicle wasn't formally reported stolen, its tags do not match the vehicle they're registered to, which, under DC Code Section 18-1101, is still a misdemeanor, though a light one, punishable by a fine of only a few $100s and up to a week and a half in jail. The vehicle will also likely be impounded. The circumstances can be exacerbated and extra charges can be added, however, if it's found that the tags were stolen from the original vehicle as opposed to being taken with permission, which is more commonly the case than one might think.
Have we looked in to see if we can, I know it's not easy if he's like laid out, but if we can confirm like if he has a weapon or not?
So, I didn't go past the rear driver's side.
But he's moving. His head's moving.
He took a look in the front.
He's moving. His head moving.
Mr. Martin starts to toss in his sleep, but after a few seconds, he goes still again. Time is of the essence for the officers. Any second, the suspect can wake up, see them in the rearview mirrors, and make a speedy getaway before the officers can retreat to their cars. They get together to establish and finalize their plan before moving in.
The only other idea I can think of, the back window is broken clearly. Just cut out that plastic.
Well, I was gonna break. Depending on what they decide, we were thinking just breaking the front, yanking them in.
Yeah, but to begin more quietly, like just cut it out, open that door carefully, and then just try to pull him as soon as possible. Because once you break it, he's gonna wake up, start and put it in drive to go. We don't want nobody to get hurt. You know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
So here's what I'm saying. Back window is ready. Carefully, I can cut it out. Unlock the door from the exterior. If the door opens quietly, he's still knocked out, then I'll move away. Somebody just has to jack him. He's got his hands up.
So the last guy too, him and I will yank him out. Or do you want to? Who wants to be? Do you want to be hands guy?
Well, my other question is, have we looked to see if it's in drive or park? And is it still running? Is it still running? Okay. Because I saw it running earlier, but then I didn't see the.
No, it's running. It's in park. He's knocked out.
No, yeah. So like, I just want to make sure that we don't have anyone on our end or your end that if he like throws it in drive, it's a foot run over or side swipe, or if he throws it in reverse. I just want everyone to
So the best way is cut out that plastic.
Yeah, unlock it again.
Carefully and quietly try to unlock the door. If that works and we're able to open the door, he's still knocked out, then we can reach in and pull him out before he gets to the gear. But we're not going to go in there if we start it up because he's going to wake up and drive and let him go at that point.
I'm fine with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't want anybody to get caught in the middle of that door. So I think cut out that plastic, try to unlock the door once again. If it opens and he's still knocked out, then try to make room. Quickly just jump in there, grab him, grab his hands, don't let him put it in drive and we'll go with it.
So we went to report stolen.
So if the car is stolen and the tag comes back to a different car than that car.
When was it stolen?
I think recent.
Yeah, recent.
Do we know if it was carjacked or
Straight stolen.
oh, just straight stolen?
The officer only specifies that the vehicle is stolen, but seems to be walking around the question of how they know it's stolen, especially if it wasn't reported. With that being said, however, the likelihood that it was just stolen is extremely high. Vehicle thefts have skyrocketed in Washington, D.C. in the past year, with 1,013 thefts reported by the Metropolitan Police Department from the beginning of 2023 to just February. The surrounding metropolitan area has also seen a drastic increase in auto theft, with rates nearly doubling in some areas in a single year. At the current rate, over a dozen citizens of DC become victims of vehicle theft every day, and suspects face up to 5 years in prison and fines up to $12,500.
So I think that's the best approach. Quietly cut out the thing, unlock that door. If he doesn't get startled, you know, I can always cut it, unlock it, and bend down. If he doesn't get startled, then we kind of...
If he hasn't woken up yet, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'll turn everything down whenever you're ready.
But please don't get caught inside.
Yeah.
The efficacy and morality of apprehending a suspect who is asleep would end up being a big point of contention in the case. Clearly, an incapacitated suspect is advantageous to police. However, a valid point against this sort of approach is a temporary condition called sleep inertia. The CDC defines the term as the disorientation and decline in performance and/or mood after awaking from sleep. Sleep inertia can last anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour after waking up, even longer depending on if the sufferer is sleep deprived. This condition is characterized by a state of impaired critical thinking, remembering, and reasoning skills, and can be accompanied by a feeling of grogginess or lethargy, especially immediately after wakening. Based on this fact, it can be argued that confronting a suspect who's asleep could yield very different results than confronting them while they're awake, since sleep inertia can lead them to make choices and commit acts that they might not have were they otherwise in the right mind. It can also be said that, given the significant level of risk associated with their plan, the officers would have been well to have taken an extra few minutes to at least concoct a failsafe to offset the risk. Blocking him in with a patrol car might have actually been an effective safety measure. It's unclear why the officers opted out of that method.
Stop, man, just let me out. Let me out. Stop, bro, shoot. Fire.
Shots fired, last unit, location.
To everyone's horror, the worst possible outcome has come to fruition. Mr. Martin was startled awake, managed to put the car in drive, and stepped on the gas. When he took off, the officer that entered the rear driver's side door was dragged a small ways before losing his grip and rolling on the ground behind the vehicle. Simultaneously, the force of the vehicle taking off caused all the car doors to shut, trapping the other officer, a sergeant, inside the car. As the vehicle speeds away, the sergeant begins pleading with the suspect from the back seat to let him out of the vehicle. He then issues several warnings that deadly force will be used if Mr. Martin doesn't comply and stop the car. When Mr. Martin fails to stop the vehicle after a few more seconds, the officer shoots him in the back, an alleged 6 times. He then loses control of the vehicle and crashes into the house of an unsuspecting civilian. Paramedics arrive at the scene just minutes later and attempt to resuscitate Mr. Martin, but he's pronounced dead shortly after their arrival. No one inside the home was injured. After securing the video of her son's death, Mr. Martin's mother was livid at the officer's choice to apprehend her son while he was unaware, a move which her lawyer is referring to as an ambush. According to Mr. Martin's family and attorney, this poorly strategized and disorganized endeavor led to his unjustified murder, leaving Mr. Martin's infant son without a father. They're ultimately calling for the sergeant that shot Mr. Martin to be fired. However, the Fraternal Order of Park Labor Committee stands behind the sergeant's actions. They argue that his life was being directly threatened by how fast Mr. Martin was traveling, citing that the vehicle reached uncontrollable speeds. In the state of Florida, not just officers, but any person has the right to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another. The Labor Committee contends that, though the result was regrettable, the officers performed their duties to the best of their abilities, including the sergeant, and at no point did they exhibit use of excessive or unnecessary force on the driver. Ultimately, the final verdict on whether or not the officers are at fault will result from a civil rights investigation into the incident, being conducted by a team of both FBI agents and members of the U.S. State's Attorney's Office. As of the date of this video, the investigation is ongoing.